Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and we're dealing with some new tech today. Zoom has decided to do a little update, so that's a little fun. But I happen to have my
Took you a while to find the record button.
they okay, so people who don't know, people who don't podcast or YouTube or do use Zoom or anything like that, they used to have a pretty cool interface where record was a button right in the front. You just hit record and you start talking, and then when you're done, you hit end recording. Now they've moved it. Like it's on the screen, but it's like way over here on the right, or you got to click more and you got it's a whole thing. It's like I know we're trying to get like cooler and hipper and with the millennials and all that. And I said that like a guy who's 50, but still, come on, there's a certain thing. Anyway, the voice you heard in the background is not me throwing my voice. I actually have a very beautiful parrot right next to me. I'm just she needs a cracker once in a while. Uh, no, it's got Dolores. My wife Dolores is with me today. Uh, she wanted to be on the camera, and then she said, "I'm not being on the camera." So there's kind of this camera thing. So you guys can vote up or down whether you want her on the camera or off the camera, because she seems like she's going to be, I don't know, swayed possibly.
What, all of our two
Tens of
listeners?
listeners, yeah.
Two listeners?
Yeah. Yeah. So you see these kind of gems you can't see from her on the side because she's over here like giggling. Anyway, my wife Dolores is with us. She's been kind enough to join us the last couple of weeks, and that's great because we've been super busy
We have been.
this past weekend. We decided to take a little trip. I'm going on a trip. I
Well,
forget how the song goes.
we talked about it a little bit before we ended the last podcast after we came back from Disney Springs.
Yeah. So we decided we wanted to go see a Braves game, and the Atlanta Braves are kind of close. I
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
mean,
they're not. I mean, it's not like I would want to do that on a day trip.
you wouldn't want to like get up on a Saturday like super early and
We did that.
drive to there,
We did that.
see a game, and then drive
No,
home. No,
no.
no.
It's a little too far for that. Now, if it was a couple of hours, maybe, but 4 hours, actually, it's a little four and some change, right?
What if it was like a afternoon game? Like if the game was supposed to start at like 1,
I don't know.
because then we
Very
could be home by
possibly,
bedtime. I mean, essentially, right?
possibly,
It'd be a whole
possibly.
lot of driving. I don't want to drive all that.
Well, I mean, I get, yeah, that'd be what, 8 hours of driving in one day,
Yeah,
or actually a little
a
more
little
because
more.
it's a little more than 4 hours
Yeah.
from here. Um, it, it would be a little different now because we've actually spent some time walking around the Battery, which is I'm not really sure what you would describe that as.
Food.
Yeah, it is.
Food and knickknacks and doodads and
Shops.
shops and
Now, Atlanta has done a fantastic job. I do not know how old. It's called Truist,
the
right?
Battery. Yeah,
Um,
Truist Park.
Truist Park is the stadium where the Braves play. And I did read that Truist, Truist, is a bank. It actually bought out SunTrust Bank, I do believe I read. And I'm not sure when they built that stadium. It's a very nice stadium. It's beautiful. Matter of fact, it was my very first Major League Baseball game.
It says that the ballpark for Atlanta, the new one, opened up in 2017. It was previously named the SunTrust Park, and then the bank was renamed after SunTrust became Truist Bank in 2020.
Yeah,
So
I had read that Truist had
about
bought
four
out
years.
SunTrust,
Yeah.
so they renamed the stadium. But they've done a really good job. And now, mind you, I've not been to any other major league stadiums, so I don't know what to compare it to. It was extremely nice. There's a lot of the area around the stadium is actually called the Battery. You
Mm-hmm.
can Google that; it actually shows up. It's got a lot of different restaurants, a lot of little unique type shops that sells the Braves jerseys, hats, things like that. There's a couple of I would guess like maybe like you said, little just little unique shops.
Mm-hmm.
A, a lot to do. I mean, we got to town. We actually opted to stay. We went with two other couples, and so there was six of us. We got our seats. I mean, we did not pay a tremendous price for the seats. We were not going for the best view. We really wanted the more or less just the experience. We had great seats. We were sitting in like the third deck, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to get front row of the third deck because I am short and didn't want to have to try to look over anybody's head. That worked really well. And I was extremely impressed with the actual the actual stadium. I have, like I say, I've never been in one before. Did not realize that there was going to be a museum there.
Yeah.
I don't know if all ball fields do that, or maybe because Truist Stadium is newer.
I think that's a newer thing. I think that a lot of the major sports teams have realized that fans want to go for a full experience. They don't want to
Right.
just go see the game. And honestly, if you give fans a fuller experience, they're more likely to spend money. And that's the big pursuit. How do we get them here to spend more money?
Well, I mean, I realize that I would think, and I have been to a couple of major NFL football games over the years. I have never been to an NBA game. This was my first Major League Baseball game. And the comment we were all, the six of us were talking, I don't know why every city that has a stadium like that doesn't have that, like that Battery Park.
Yeah.
That is extremely smart. I mean, they've got it blocked off where you cannot drive cars down, but to a certain point. A lot of parking garages. We opted not to do the park in a garage and then get stuck in traffic trying to get out. We stayed walking distance, and there
Yeah.
was, and that, I mean, and that was fantastic.
And staying walking distance is a little more pricey than if we just stayed further out. But then we also had the convenience of not having to drive and pay for parking there.
Right.
Again, we could just walk over, which was kind of nice. We stayed at the Renaissance, which is a decent walk. It's not terrible.
It was, I want to
I
say,
think it
just a,
says it's just under a mile. Like
it
I
was,
think it's
yeah,
zero
it was a little,
point 0.7 miles or
so,
something like that.
yeah,
And they got a nice walking path, and there's a bridge that goes over a highway. It was a little tricky finding where the bridge was, but luckily we had some friends that went the day before, and they kind of navigated that part for us. But yeah, I really enjoyed the sense that we were staying the night and it wasn't like we had to rush.
yeah.
So we could basically just stroll and go in shops and go, oh, what's in here? Now, a lot of it was just window shopping for us. We didn't really want to buy anything, but we we
Well,
did take a
before the
minute.
game, there was no reason we didn't want to buy anything because you didn't want to have to take it into the game and
Yeah, but also like there wasn't anything like we were like, oh, I gotta have this. I came here just to buy this thing.
no,
It was just looking. They had a Mizuno store, really nice looking shoes, and we were able to
yeah,
ooh and ah over the really expensive shoes and uh kind of soak up their air conditioning. That was the biggest reason I think we were stopping in the stores
yes, it was
was because
extremely. I'm
it was
glad it did
very
not
hot.
rain because I do know that Major League Baseball games do not go on. You know that the rain will definitely cancel them
It can
or
delay them.
delay them.
Yeah.
No rain. We had beautiful weather, and although it was like, well, I think the high was 88. It sure felt like it was
Yeah.
188 in
It was a
those seats.
humid, non-air moving
Yes,
88. Yeah, it was Danny looked at me one time and he goes, "It is really hot." I
yeah,
said,
there
"Yeah,
was,
they call it Hotlanta for a reason."
yeah,
Yeah.
no breeze blowing at all,
No.
but I was extremely impressed. I had no idea going into it what it was going to be like. It was great.
Yeah.
I thought the stadium was absolutely gorgeous on the inside. So many options of food, expensive food, but
Yeah, but
still,
also like I was like everything flowed really easily. I've been to games before where you wait for a hot dog and you stand in line for a good 20, 30 minutes and you're like, when is this line going to move? And of course, now that like self-checkout is kind of a thing everybody
yeah,
does, they have like an assembly line type thing where you get in line and you grab what you want and you go up and you pay a little kiosk and then you're on your merry way. So, I mean, yes, the prices are a little high, but that's kind of what you expect to pay at a park.
they're
Um,
not a little high; they're a lot high.
you wanted a hot dog.
Yes, yeah, I'm not saying I just don't understand.
Your thing was, I want to go to a ballpark and I want to have a ballpark hot dog. I've
Yes,
always heard they're the best. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, we found a ballpark hot dog and it was like the size of my arm. It was
but it was
humongous.
good.
It was good.
It
Yeah.
was $14 good.
It was good though. Here, have your hot dog. Oh no.
I was
Yeah.
extremely like I said, I've watched games before, but now the games don't show you what everything that's going on in the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, the stadium, I don't know
They kept everybody
they
busy.
kept everybody very busy
Yeah.
in between batters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question I do have, and I started to ask this while we were sitting there Saturday evening, but I was kind of didn't because I figured everybody would think I was a dummy. The organ music,
Yeah.
is that a real organ or
Yeah.
is that? I mean, I realized maybe years ago they were probably real organs. Are they still?
No, that's not like you'd see in cathedrals in like, Notre Dame movies. It's an organ, but it's like an electric organ.
Oh, okay.
But someone's playing.
Oh, okay. So didn't know if maybe somebody was playing or if that's all recorded and they just hit a button.
Well, no, because I'm the only way I could tell it wasn't recorded was they were like changing up the speed.
Oh, okay.
Because there was times.
Yeah, but you
Remember
can
the
do
one
that on
guy
I mean, well, I guess not if it's
we had?
recorded.
They had the one batter from the Marlins who hit, and he took forever to get back to the plate, and he was like dragging it off, and he was like, doo, 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 doo. He just made it longer and longer and longer. I was like, okay, he's playing it back there. Somebody's playing the music. But also like playing music that was popular on the organ was kind of cool because we were all like playing like music of what is that song? What is that song? And you hear somebody say what it was. And you're like, oh, okay. And it all had something to do with the name of the person. Like it was all in correlation. One guy's
Yeah.
name was Butler. So they had like, or no, not Butler, Baker. So they had like, do you know the Muffin Man? Oh, he's a baker. I get it, you know. And then they had, I did a couple of different hidden things there with the songs, and we'd all correlate the music. You didn't do that? You were on the other side. You couldn't hear me. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I picked up on that. I
me and
was
me and Danny were playing the game with the guy behind us. We were trying to guess the music.
I was extremely, like I say, I was extremely impressed with how on spot they were with every single time something happened. I
Yeah.
mean, you for a strikeout, you get no, yeah, for a strikeout, they had the fireworks that shot out from the
Yeah.
jumbotron. I did think that they did a fantastic job of using the camera
Mm-hmm.
on the jumbotron to pick out different people in the crowd because people really really enjoy that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
people get behind seeing themselves on the jumbotron,
Sure.
and that was by
I looked
far the
over and you were even doing the selfie thing.
yes.
You were like, "Look, everybody dance," and I was like, no, I don't dance."
Well, of
But
course, now with with technology, what it is, they had this QR code that would show up on the jumbotron. Use your camera, get the QR code, and it would stream you live up on the jumbotron. Of course, they had to pick your live feed at the time,
yeah,
but yeah, that was pretty cool.
and I think two people nailed the jumbotron. It was the lady in the banana suit.
Well, they kept showing her, yeah.
That was pretty funny, and then of course the guy doing the weird robot arms. He was doing the
Actually,
he was doing the
he
weird
was
robot arms
doing the
dance.
Tommy Hawk chop.
He was doing a bunch of stuff. It was crazy. He was on fire.
Yes, that they did a great job of actually keeping the crowd in the game.
And lots of stuff with little kids, which you hear the whole audience. Oh, it'd be this
Yeah,
adorable little kid
they
doing
did the
something.
hug cam, the kiss
Yeah.
cam. I mean, yeah, it was really
They
way
even put it
different.
on opposing fans next to each other, and they're like, not no.
Now I have, like I say, I've watched baseball. I mean, I wouldn't say I've been like an avid fan that just watched every last single pitch, but I've watched some of the World Series games. I did not know, I don't know when this started, but now that they have the new rule of the how long it takes to pitch, you only have a
I think
certain
that
amount of
started this
time.
year.
That is
That's cool.
almost definitely.
Yeah.
That has I've not watched any, or I've not really paid attention to it on TV. I've watched a couple games here and there when you had them on in the background, just hey, what's the score? Who's
Mm-hmm.
winning, the Braves or whatever. But yeah, that definitely makes the game a lot faster.
Plus, I don't know if you noticed, whenever they would change pitchers, they only or change batters, they only added 10 extra seconds for you to get to the plate.
Yes,
So you when that counter, I mean, that person's out. Okay, good. 30 seconds.
they
Get up
have
to the plate.
they have speed. They have
And
definitely
then
sped up those games.
between pitches, as the pitch is caught, okay, pitcher's got the ball, 20 seconds. Start now. I mean, it moves.
Yeah. The Braves were playing the Florida Marlins. We knew that ahead of time because we had bought the tickets, of course. They were in town they played Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. And
We were told
we were
this is going to be a great game because the Braves are probably going to win because the Marlins suck. And they won Friday night. We heard that because our buddies Cheryl and Phil went the night before and got to see the fireworks go off above the stadium
well,
from their room.
they didn't, yeah,
They didn't go to the game, but they knew they won, and if they won 4-2.
Now our game, I will have
Our
to
game
say,
was close the whole
our
game.
game was close the whole game. They only lost by 1 run, and our game actually went down
2 runs.
2 runs.
No, you're right. 1 run. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, they only lost by 1 run, but our game went down to. I mean, they and don't get me wrong. I say I'm not. It didn't matter to me one way or the other. I wanted them to win, of course.
Sure.
But if they didn't, it was okay. I was going for the experience of being in the stadium and everything. But it went down. It went down to the last pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was not like when they lost, they didn't lose by by multiple runs or anything like that. They actually had a chance. They could have won it right down to the very end.
Yeah.
We stayed. I mean, I had no problem at all. I did not want to walk away from there
I didn't see a
before.
lot of people leave.
I didn't
Like
either.
normally you see like after the seventh inning stretch,
Yeah,
the crowd starts to thin out because they want to beat the traffic. But I
it was a
mean,
good game. It was an
I
exciting
didn't see a whole lot
game.
of people leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I say, it was great. I
And I'm glad we saw that game versus last night's game because
Yesterday afternoon's
they
game.
got blown out 7-0.
Yes.
So I just looked on the website. Apparently they played 4 games. They
Oh,
also
okay.
played on Thursday. So they won 2 games and the Marlins won 2 games. So I guess it's kind of okay. Well, if you're gonna do anything, you might as well split it. I guess that's better than losing them all, right? But
Yeah.
yeah. So
But like I
anyway,
say, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I would go back. I would easily go back and see another one. The experience was great. I would like to go when the weather's not quite as hot.
so do you think you would be up for a possible Chicago Cubs game
Yes.
in September?
Yeah.
Okay, because we have the possibility, secret time, we have a possibility of going to a Cubs game in September. So would there be a video going along with that and a podcast about that?
Well, I would
So
love to go to. I like I say, I don't have a favorite
I don't either.
baseball team.
I grew up watching the Braves. I mean, that was like you were talking about the museum. That
Hmm.
was big for me because I grew up around Atlanta. We actually lived in the Cobb County area. Matter of fact, for a long time, I lived on the Austell exit, which is the Six Flags exit, and we would go to games quite often. I remember back then, my stepdad saying, "Oh, the whole family can go to a game for less than $20," and I was like, "Okay." I had no concept of money, but
Yeah.
less than $20, I guess, sounded great. So we would go quite often. And I remember we moved to South Carolina in 85, 86, somewhere in that range. But we would still, like, he'd get off work on, he'd go, let's go to a Braves game. I'm like, what? And all of a sudden we'd be on the road and haul butt to Atlanta, watch a game. Seventh inning, we'd leave and he'd turn it on the radio and we'd listen to it on the way back. And that was kind of the only way you could make it there and back in a day. But we did that trip often. And I
Now,
grew up
do all
watching.
games? I've never. I mean, I've seen see them do the seventh inning stretch on TV.
Mhm.
Do all Major League Baseball games do this? I mean,
Take me out to the
yeah.
ball game. Yeah.
Why? Why the
Tradition.
seventh? Why? There's 9 innings,
Tradition.
but why seven? How did they land
I
on?
don't know. The people got tired of sitting on
Is
their
it
butts.
It's the bottom of the seventh, right?
Yeah. Between the
See?
bottom and the top, right in the middle.
Oh, okay.
So you got to stretch so you can make it to the end and be
Yeah, I
all
get that
cheery and
part,
stuff.
but you would think that they would have had it more toward the middle.
I
But then
bet it
again, I
has.
guess
I bet it has something to do with concessions.
I'm sure it
Maybe
has something
it's
to do with how slow that game used to progress until they
maybe
put these new timers in.
maybe the seventh inning stretches so the umpires can go to the bathroom real quick
Could be.
because they're out there a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their hey, you guys want to run to the potty real quick? We'll take a little stretch.
Yeah. And now I will have to say it was a lot more visible than a professional football game.
Yeah.
You definitely cannot see. The one thing that I noticed. Number one, of course, you can't see what you can see on TV as far as the pitches and the strikes and the balls. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot tell that because from where I was sitting, they all look like strikes to me.
Unless you saw the guy go, whoa, and you're like,
but
oh, that got
now,
close to his
but now
face.
the one thing I did not realize until I went to actual game, they will not show any replays or they don't show any of that on that jumbotron.
They don't have time.
Well, they don't,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there's a reason why. Now there was a couple of calls that you could hear the whole crowd boo, and of course I booed because everybody else was. But I was like, okay, I don't know if that was a strike or not.
I know.
Was that a bad call?
I got a kick out of hearing you because I was on the other side of you with 2 people in between us, and I'd hear you, dude. I'm like, is that holy cow? Look at her. And the next thing I was like, go ahead, girl.
I had no idea what I was booing at, but
I was just glad you were having fun. I was like, go ahead, that's
I
cool.
figured everybody behind the plate that in those real expensive seats,
Yeah,
they knew what they were booing, so I just went along with them.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
it was a lot of fun. It really was. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was impressed with that stadium. Now, if we get a chance to go to Wrigley Field, whenever I've got a conference to go to in early September up in Chicago, and we've decided, you're going to fly up about later in the week and meet me up there.
Hmm.
And, I would love, I think we've looked it up, and the Cubs are playing the Yankees,
Hmm.
an afternoon game on that Friday. And I'll be done with my conference on Thursday afternoon.
Yes, that's a good chance to see a cool game in Wrigley Field, which
And
is one of the oldest
right,
stadiums in the league. And I'm kind of curious how it compares to Atlanta, because Atlanta is a newer stadium, and
with it
Wrigley's an
being
older
yeah,
stadium.
it's the second oldest in the,
I kind of wonder, have they done like upgrades to make it more modernized, or did they just leave it like old style and go, no, people are gonna like
I
the
guess we're going to find
nostalgia?
out. I mean, if we get to go, of course,
Yeah.
a lot of that will depend on weather. And, well, I mean, I want to kind of make it if we can get there, if
No, you're
there's
right.
still tickets.
Weather's a big deal.
Weather's a big deal, but also too availability.
Sure.
If we get to go, that would be great. I mean, not even if we stay for the whole game, because
Sure.
there's a lot we want to accomplish while we're there for just a short amount of time.
Hmm.
But it would definitely be something that I would be willing to pay the price of a cheap ticket just
Hmm.
to be able to get inside and see what it looks like.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus the Yankees. I mean, I don't know anything at all about the Yankees except for I've always heard they've always, number one, they always do well, but I've always heard, just listening to
Not
people
always.
people talk, that
They have a history of doing well.
they pay for their talent.
Well,
Well, I mean, I know A-Rod played there, and wait a minute, somebody else. Hold
yeah, a
on.
lot of people.
But there's somebody that was okay. A-Rod played there, and there was another one that was a, I
This
don't
is a
know.
fun game.
Yeah.
You guys should send in recommendations of what players she thinks might have played for the Yankees.
No, yeah, no, I don't know. And there was a Jose Canseco. Who
Didn't
did
play for the Yankees.
he played? I don't know who he played. He played for somebody years ago.
Yeah,
I learned about
he
Hank
played for the
Aaron,
Oakland A's.
Oakland A's. You know how that's right. He played in during the earthquake. He was playing. I was watching the Braves
Yeah,
play the Oakland A's when the earthquake happened.
yeah.
We talked about that this past
He's
weekend.
one of the few players to ever openly say, "Yeah, I did steroids. We all did steroids." And they were like, "What? You can't say that." He's like, "I just did."
I've heard of the name Hank Aaron. Of course, anybody that's been alive, I mean, it knows of the name Hank Aaron. I did not know he played. I honestly didn't think about the fact that he played for the Braves.
I don't. Do you know the date that he broke the record?
No.
The only reason I know it is because it's two dates I should remember. It's my mom's birthday, the year I was born,
Okay, so it's
April
April
8th,
8th,
74.
74. Okay.
Yep. I saw that on the statue out front of Fulton County Stadium when I was a kid, and I thought, well, that's a weird coincidence. I wonder if my mom was pregnant with me and like saw the game on TV or something. But they didn't have it on TV back then.
Now that's the same statue that is now in
Hmm.
Truist Park
Yep, they moved
inside.
it.
Oh, it's really nice.
It's impressive.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
It's massive, and of course, it being on the inside. You said years ago it used to be outside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge statue, like a bronze statue of
Hmm.
him. They've done, like I said, they've done a really good job of it. I mean, it talked about the history of the Braves from day one, what they originally started out as, their names, how they've changed and all through the years.
Yep.
But yeah, that I would recommend anybody that goes to that to see a Braves game to go early enough to take time to look around the stadium.
For me, it was really cool because they had a special box for the early 80s where they had Dale Murphy's picture on the front of a Sports Illustrated magazine. And I remember watching Dale Murphy back in the day. He was my guy. He was the big home run hitter. I did not know until I was at this museum, because I didn't do any math and or statistics or look anything up. I mean, the internet didn't exist back then. And when I got older, I never really cared enough to look. But he won the home run championship like 4 years in a row. Bob Horner apparently was the rookie of the year he came in the league. And Bob Horner used to bat third, and Dale Murphy batted cleanup. And I remember going to more than one game where Dale Murphy would crack it out of the park, and then Bob Horner would come up and crack it out of the park right behind him. And I'm like, holy cow, this is awesome. But my uncle, Uncle Danny, looked like Bob Horner. He had the same curly blonde hair, and he was a big dude. And I was like, kind of looks like my uncle at bat, man. Look at him go. So, I mean, it was really cool for me to see. They had Bob Horner's bat from 1986 when he hit the four-run homer. And I was like, I think I was at that game. I think I really remember going to that.
We got to see we actually we got to see a home run. I mean,
Oh
a
yeah,
home run was hit during the game. The
couple of home
stadium,
runs.
no, just one.
Couple of home runs were hit.
No,
Not
just
all
one.
by us.
Well, yeah. I mean, only one by the Braves. the stadium goes freaking crazy with the
And the
jumbotron,
chop.
the chop. I mean, and the guy. I was extremely impressed with the guy
Now,
with the big drum.
when they were doing the chop, I looked over at Phil because Phil's a huge Florida State fan, and I was like, "Is he going to do it?" And he looked at me. He goes,
No, I think he did a little bit, but he said that only
"He's like,
because
this ain't Florida State
yeah.
chop. This is something. I'm not doing that for this." Yeah, I could
Of
just see
course,
it in his
now
eyes.
I've
He's like, "Oh
watched.
man,
We watched some of those World Series games when the Braves
oh
won.
yeah,
What 21? I mean, they just won the World Series not too
yeah,
long ago. And of course, the stadium was not like that Saturday night. I
sure,
mean,
sure."
but now I was just amazed with how some of the seats did not. I thought, oh my gosh, there's not a lot of people at this game. But I mean, by the time the sun went
That's
down,
because we went in right after the place
I
opened.
guess maybe that's why. I mean,
But once the game was going, it was pretty full.
well, there's like the one part of the stadium. It's what is it like left field? Left field was like right in the sun until the sun went
Oh
down
yeah,
behind the stadium, and once the sun kind of got down far enough, it filled up even more. And I'm sure maybe those people might have been standing in the shade a little bit
oh
because
yeah,
it was extremely hot.
yep.
But yeah, that home run, the stadium was full when that home
Well,
run was
and
hit.
there's a section over there in left field called the Hank Aaron home run
Yeah,
section, and that's where the guy hit the home run. I was like,
yeah,
that's kind of cool. I dig that.
yeah. Now there was a lot of foul balls. I mean,
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I don't now where we were sitting, I don't think we would have gotten one
we didn't get
anyway.
one We got one
But
kind of our direction, but it was below us in the 200 level.
yeah, I don't want to catch a foul ball. I don't even want one to come near me because I'd
Well,
be one of those ducking up under the seat.
I always wanted to like catch one and give it to a kid or something because that's a big deal for the kid.
I guess
You know,
there were a
it,
lot of kids there.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember as a kid, I remember going and like we would purposely stay in the outfield because we were like, maybe we'll catch a ball. I mean, that was kind of a big deal. But now I noticed that, as the game has got more popular and they're trying to get fans more involved, they tend to throw balls into the stands a good bit. Like if they catch a ball and it ends the inning, instead of throwing it anywhere else, they just kind of toss it up to fans, which is cool. Um, but we actually Googled it, I think, watching a game one night when they were hitting a lot of home runs and foul balls and stuff. And I was like, I wonder how many balls they used during a game. And it said on average, they use about 70 baseballs per game, which is a lot of
And see,
baseballs.
I would have thought it would have been more than that
Yeah.
actually.
Well, that's average though. That's quite a lot of baseballs because you figure there's some they're probably doing 100.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know.
But I tell you, it's you definitely anytime you see any sport in live, it will make you appreciate how good of a job they do with broadcasting
Yeah.
when they broadcast a game.
Well, and also
And of course, we
like you
saw
were
those
talking,
people.
but you were talking about like our stadium experience. The one thing I started watching it and I was like, oh, but on TV at home, I can see where the strike zone is and how fast the ball
Yes, you
is, and
can't
I
see
can't
any of
see
that.
that. And I started gazing around the stadium and I realized I was looking at I was looking at the big TV, which is telling us the stats and whatnot, but the small TV off on the left was telling us what the pitches were,
Yes,
how fast they were. And I was like, how do they know that's a slider and that's a
I
curveball? Like,
know.
well,
That's
how
the
do
one
you,
thing. That was my question too.
and then
I
the
get
speed
the
of it, I get the speed
I
of it,
get the speed of it.
but how do you know the difference between a sinker and a slide? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not a
I gotta
pitcher,
ask.
but
I mean, I got a coworker that is a huge baseball fan.
but
He actually
somehow
played in high school and
the minute
college.
they throw it, they put it up what pitch it was and how fast it was, and I'm
Yes,
like,
because there was one that
holy cow!
I can't even remember. That was my question too. How do they know? I get the miles per hour. I get it totally. How do they know? Okay, how do they know that's a slider? How do they know that's
Four seam fastball.
yeah, four seam?
Yeah,
What the heck does that
I
mean?
don't know.
I gotta ask.
Maybe that's a certain way he wears his hat.
No, I don't think it's got anything to do with the hat.
Something to do with his fingers.
It's got to do with his hands on the ball.
Yeah, but there's got to be like an AI thing watching his hand or something, or watching the ball move and being like, that's what that is. So I was watching a game a couple of weeks ago here in the house, kind of psyching myself up for the baseball. And I remember the broadcaster saying, "Oh wow, that was a screwball. I haven't seen anybody throw a screwball in years." I was like, "How the heck you know it's a screwball?" Because I'm watching it and they're slowing it down. I was like, I don't see a difference. What are you doing?"
Yeah, like I said, that's the part. Yeah,
That's got to be AI.
I don't know.
There's got to be some kind of AI tied into a camera that's like, "This is what that is." Like,
Yeah,
okay,
like I said,
okay.
I'll have to ask. Like I say, I work with a guy that played in high school and college, and he is a huge Braves fan. Watches every last single game. If he can't watch it, he listens to it. And matter of fact, he was at my desk first thing this morning. Yeah. And he was like, y'all actually had a good game. And I was like, went to a good game. And I was like, yes, I enjoyed every pitch.
I gotta say,
I didn't even go to the bathroom. I waited until, I mean, I did not want to get out of my seat to go to the
yeah,
bathroom because I didn't want to miss anything.
going to a football game, which I haven't been to a football game since, God, since it's been a long time, almost 20 years, maybe 15
Oh,
years.
no, I don't know.
But I mean, the pace of the baseball game, maybe it's the clock, maybe it's the I don't know. It's very fan friendly. I really enjoyed all of the game, not just the action, but actually in
Oh,
between
yeah, they did a great
because they kept
job.
doing stuff to keep you entertained. I mean, the second
Well,
they were like doing something like changing pictures, they interacted with you with the TV and the big TV and the camera and the fans interacting and doing activities with fans, and it was
yeah,
fun.
doing trivia. I mean, now we went to a Florence Flamingos game.
Hmm.
I guess it's been I don't know, a couple of months ago or 6 weeks ago. I don't remember when it was. It was on a Friday night.
Yep.
We went, tickets were cheap. The stadium is nice, actually. It was a fun game. We enjoyed it. Now, I see now where they get the entertaining the people, in between the innings, because I thought that was kind of odd. I thought, but I'd never been to a major league game before. So of course I see where the Florence Flamingos, what is it, double A, single A, whatever it is, like a league. It's a
Well, the
small
Flamingos is
division.
a summer league.
It's a small division also.
It's a summer league for college players. My brother told me they play during the season and they want to stay fresh. So a lot of them play like in the summer league if they can make it
Oh, okay.
because it lets them get seen by scouts a little bit more and gets them just so they don't slow down.
Now
Kind of gives them an
the pitcher
advantage.
that started the game Saturday night
Grant Holmes.
is from Conway, South Carolina.
Did not know that until you told me.
Did not know that until my coworker, when I told him who was actually, he looked it up for me Friday when we were at work. He was like, "Oh, who's going to be your starting pitcher?" And when I seen, actually when we looked, it was still to be determined. But when he seen that it was this
Wait,
Grant,
that's a story in itself.
yeah, Friday I went and asked or I was in his office, and because like I say, huge Braves fans, got little Braves A that one of the kids at works, one of the coworkers' kids drew him the A and colored it on a piece of notebook paper, and it's a big A, and he's got it thumbtacked to his front door. Everybody knows that Payne is a huge Braves fan. And so I told him we were going to the game. He was excited for me to be going to the game. And so Friday I was in his office. We were just chit chatting. I think I went down there to ask him something about work. And he was like, "Oh, who's pitching?" And I was like, "I don't know who's pitching." He said, "Oh, let's look." So he Googles it, and he's looking at his computer, and he turns and looks at me, and and Payne is one of those that's just got the driest sense of humor and can keep a straight face through the funniest stuff. But he goes, "Oh God, y'all are going to get to see a really good pitcher." And I was like, "Oh, who?" I mean, not that I would have known, but I was like, "Oh, who?" And he goes, "TBD." And I was like, "TBD? Oh gosh, who is TBD? What does that stand for?" And he goes, "Oh, that's the best picture ever." And then it like dawned on me, TBD is to be determined. And he goes, "Yeah," he said, "that's the best picture ever." And I was like, "Oh God, I can't believe I fell for that one."
Yeah,
But I
because
did.
there's so many athletes that have like initials and stuff, and you're like, wait, I haven't heard of that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then when we found out that it was going to be Grant Holmes, and I don't even remember if I texted him Saturday and said it was Grant Holmes or
You
he
did.
texted me.
You did.
Oh, okay. And well, I think I looked it up to see
Yeah.
who was going to,
The night before you said you looked it up and you were like,
and
oh, I just seen who's
yeah,
starting.
and I screenshot it, and I was like, send it to him, and I was like, "Hey, Payne, are we getting a good pitcher for the game tomorrow night?" And he said, "Actually, you are." He told me a little bit of history about his career,
Hmm.
and he said he's actually from Conway, South Carolina, and he pitched what, about
About five. He got pulled in
four?
the fifth.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It says here, I was just Googling some information about him. He's 6 foot tall, about 226. He actually bats left-handed and throws right-handed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the night we watched, the pitchers weren't batting. I don't know why. Um, there's a designated hitter for our pitcher. Maybe the Marlins are
I'm not sure how that works.
I don't know how that
I
works.
know that one league
It
has
used to
some rules and
be,
the other league has another other
yeah,
different.
it used to be like one league had the pitcher's bat and the other league didn't or whatever, and it just depended on who was home game that they did it. I don't know, whatever. But it's kind of interesting that he's kind of ambidextrous a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course, standing there looking at some of after I went to the game, and then of course we had walked through that little museum part. Not really museum, but I guess it is kind of. You know, I had such a good time watching that game, and honestly, I did not know the first player. I mean, I saw all these jerseys, and of
I didn't
course,
either, honestly.
I mean, of course, I saw all these jerseys with
Yeah,
the what was the name, the junior
Acuna.
Acuna Jr. And I was like, okay, he's got to be a good player. He's got an awful lot of jerseys out here. And the other one that we saw a lot of jerseys was Riley.
Hmm.
Now we did see some
He played.
older, yeah, he
Yeah,
played, yeah. We did see some. I did see a few people with like Freeman and some,
I saw a bunch of Dale Murphy jerseys.
yeah, Del Murphy.
Hey, yeah.
But now after I left that game, because I had remember watching like Greg Maddox
Hmm.
and Chipper Jones, and I wish I would have.
Went back then.
I wish I would have went back
Oh
then.
yeah. Well, and with inflation, I mean, and them doing so well, there's no telling what
Oh, I
those
can't
tickets were
imagine what they
costing
could.
when they
Yeah,
were winning all the time.
because I've even heard Payne. Like I say, Payne is a huge Braves fan. He follows every last single game, and you will hear him say, if they're having a really good winning season, those tickets will get more expensive
Oh yeah,
as the season goes on.
it's all about supply and
It
demand.
depends on how well they're doing.
Well, that's also how they pay out bonuses. Because if
Mm,
they're
okay,
doing well, then they earn bonuses. I mean, it kind of draws viewers.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool. I gotta say that for the management of people getting in and out of the park, they did a really good job. Um,
Well, I like the fact that the cars, like I say, I think
they
they've done
blocked
a
the
great.
traffic from
Well,
kind of
they've
getting to the people. People kind of get out of there.
Well, they've blocked the traffic from driving close to that stadium, period.
Yeah.
I mean, they have that all that set up down there at the battery where no cars are allowed in there, which makes it a lot nicer for people trying to get out of there. You're not trying to fight traffic. I mean, you're not trying to fight like if you're trying to walk to your car, you're not fighting traffic of people trying to get drive out of there.
Yeah.
They've put those parking garages far enough away that it does not hinder people getting out of the stadium. They've got escalators. They had escalators that were moving the people extremely fast. But yeah, I was
And
impressed.
and all of those little shops, the restaurants that wanted to make money after the game made money.
Yes, because we
We
waited in
actually
line for 45 minutes.
we waited in line for 45 minutes to get ice cream because
There's a Jenny's ice
there's
cream
a Jenny's
right
ice
there.
cream right on the corner, and we wanted some Jenny's ice cream because we've had Jenny's ice cream before. It's is it Jeni?
Jeni apostrophe S.
Yeah,
Started in somewhat Columbus, Ohio.
it's really, really,
It's
really
really good.
good.
They sell it in grocery stores. It's really good ice cream.
Yep.
We knew that it was there. I had already seen that it's open, of course, until 1 a.m. on a game night. Why
So
not?
us and about 150 other people waited in line to get ice cream after the game.
That was probably just the people that was behind us.
It was
So
really good.
it was what? How much was the? We probably spent what, $20?
20 bucks
We waited in line for 45 minutes to spend $20.
for ice cream. Yeah,
Yeah, but it was worth it. I
it
mean,
was
it was.
very good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So I'm happy.
I would go to another game, and I
I would
mean,
too.
very easily. I wish. I would love I would love to live. I would not want to live in Atlanta. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to live in Atlanta. The traffic is a nightmare. I would love to live a little bit closer because we've now gone twice since May
Hmm.
because we were there for a wedding or in the outskirts area in May and then we went back this weekend. I would love to live closer with, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
So like Augusta.
Yes, if I lived in Augusta or if we lived in Augusta, we would go to Atlanta more.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
there
can see
is
that.
just so much to do.
Well, I mean, my brother and his wife live up in the Greenville area, and they say that it's only like 45 minutes for them,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
or around an hour. I mean, yeah. And of course, the upstate's got all kinds of neat amenities, like winter.
Yeah.
We don't really have winter here.
But we checked out yesterday morning. We Googled and found a place to eat brunch.
Hmm.
Really, really cool. I mean, just in a little strip shopping center, had great reviews. The meal was amazing. The service was great.
Augie's.
Augie's.
Augie's. If you're ever in the area, go have brunch at Augie's. Go eat anything at Augie's. Augie's was fantastic. The staff was cool. The menu was cool. The
Yep.
food was great.
Oh, that's right. That's the one that had. I mean, that's where we ordered
And it had all the cool names for
all the
like
cool names on the
all the
menu.
music. And it was like titles of music. And I was like, this is kind of neat.
Yeah.
We just found it just Googling where to eat brunch. And it came up. And I was like, oh, I'm really glad we made this decision.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah.
It was a very busy weekend. I mean, Saturday and Sunday we didn't leave here till what 7:30 Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was fun.
Yep.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll go back most definitely.
Yeah. So, well, cool. I'm gonna wrap this up because we've done a podcast, and I hope everybody enjoyed listening to it because we enjoy doing it. Thank you to everybody who listens and watches and all that stuff. And you want to say the line?
What, the cue the cow baby?
Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, cue the cow baby.
Cue the cow. Moo, baby.